Stand clear.
100% Wild Podcast.
So for all you listeners,
hello and welcome to
definitely not your favorite outdoor podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild Podcast, episode number 297, and we are powered by DeerCast. Thank you. You know, as much as we tell people at the start of every show, stand clear, I don't think you guys are doing that. In fact, I think you're leaning in.
Oh, good. That's what we need. We need some leaners.
They need to follow the directions.
We
tell them to stand clear, and they just sit there.
We need some people to tell their friends about the show.
That would help. That's Matt Drury.
You're Tim Chelsvik.
And we are both still not killers.
No. Let's move on to another topic. I mean, I've been to 3 states and not had much luck.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough. I did have a shooter show up in daylight on camera.
That's how tough we know
which
it is.
Like, what do I do? How do I handle this?
You still didn't kill it yet.
No, I didn't. He showed up yesterday, so we'll see.
Hey, what happened? Why didn't you go last night?
He didn't show up last night, so I didn't miss anything.
No, on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just, I'm just messing with you. I got nothing going either. All my pictures are nighttime. All my, I got nothing going.
It literally feels like hunting the Sasquatch.
Yeah,
it's not out there.
Might not be them. It might be us. That thought has crossed my mind I
don't like that thought.
On the 50 some odd sits we've had where I've seen not anything. So,
yeah.
But today we will talk about somebody else's good fortune, and it's not by accident. Working his butt off, he has put in the time, and he has just killed the biggest deer of his life. Without further ado, we have Forrest Bonin on. He is Terry's farm manager, camera guy, and he's just an all-around good dude. What's up, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Well, you
not
heard.
As good as you.
Not great. Moving on.
So Forrest killed a deer that these guys have been chasing for 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Now?
A deer that has walked. That you talked about daylight photos. These guys have daylight photos all the time of this deer, but just because you have a daylight photo doesn't mean you can catch up to him. Well, why don't you dig into this a little bit, Forrest?
All right. Well, got lucky enough and was able to kill a deer we call Junky finally. And it's a deer that we've been, as I said, we've been chasing him for 3 years. And like you said, we have more daylight photos of this deer than any deer we've ever had. But he also walks more than any other deer we've ever had. I mean, like just the other day, just one example, we had a picture of him at 9 a.m. on one camera. And then at 4:00 in the afternoon, we had him on another camera 2.4 miles away on the same farm. He made a big move. And then about an hour later, we had him on another camera going back towards the original camera, but he went another about 3/4 of a mile. So he went almost 3 miles there.
That kind of makes killing a deer like that feel like you're hunting a needle in a haystack.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've literally, he's been our number one target over there for 3 years now. And we only had one previous encounter to it with him prior to Friday when we killed him.
And it's one of those deals where, it's a little random. Mark and Terry, they're students of trail camera imagery and patterning deer. But when you have a deer that walks like that and there is no pattern, I often think about this because, the spots that we're hunting, they are almost impossible to pattern. So when you have a deer like that, you guys you put in a lot of off-season plans and you were planting food plots and moving blinds and stands and doing everything you needed to do. But what's the game plan going into a season after you had one season and then you've had 2 seasons where you can't catch up to them? What's the driving factor going into season 3 or, whatever, trying to catch up to a deer that's all the time he's walking. You just can never guess right, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we went back and studied that historical data off those Reconyx pictures. And in the first year we had pictures of him and we're like, okay, we're just going to hunt him. We figured he was kind of like any other deer. Well, then we never saw him that first year. And we were kind of like, okay, we need to change things up a little bit. So we added a bunch more Reconyx cameras. moved him into some areas where we thought was his core area. His core area ended up being much bigger than we thought, but we moved a bunch of Reconics cameras in there, hunted him the next year, and that's when we had the encounter with him last year in 2020, or excuse me, 2021. Had that encounter with him, and then he went back to being a ghost to our eyeballs, to the Reconics cameras. He loved having his picture taken. But then this summer is when we really put the move on. We said, you know what, we're gonna get pretty aggressive here. We moved, I think, four different blinds in. We actually went in back in February. I went into a spot. There's a fence that runs down the middle of this drainage, and there's a gap in there, and we'd hung a Reconics camera on that and had his picture in there quite a bit. So we went in, and I was digging big 6x6 posts in with a hand post hole digger on a hill in February through the frozen ground. Terry, I mean, always keeping me busy.
That's a nice way to say it.
But went in there in February. We moved those blinds in. Ben came over to help me one day. Chad Kilmer came over to help me a couple days, got these blinds moved in. And then, I mean, we put a ton of Reconics cameras out this year. We have more cameras rolling on that section of the farm than any other year. But it was just, I don't even know where to or how much effort we put into it or how to describe that. Because I mean, literally everything we do is for that deer.
And again, like proof that just because you have trail cam pictures and or cell cam pictures does not mean that deer is dead.
No. So go ahead.
He's the perfect example. Everyone's like, oh, cell cams are cheating and stuff. No. We would go in and hunt, and we'd get a picture of this deer within 150 yards of us, and we never saw him. Yeah. So, I mean, cell cams do not equal dead. That's for sure.
No, I'd buy more if that was the case. Right. So as you guys go into the season, I heard Dad say several times, it's like, man, I just finally, going into the decoy buck, the first deer that he killed over in Illinois, it was a mid 170s. Great deer. He said he decided in his mind that he was kind of divorcing Junky, and he was just going to go after, go to another, bring another girl to the dance or whatever. So that happens, and he kills that deer, and then all of a sudden, Batman shows up. Which you guys ended up knowing from years past, but you didn't. He really hadn't been there a lot, had he?
No, so the decoy buck was kind of, as your dad said, he was the dickman on that alfalfa field, and that's where Batman had been the previous years. But then when decoy kind of got in there, he really had all the other bucks run out. So I think when we pulled decoy buck out of there and killed him, it really threw a curveball in, because kind of the top man on the totem pole was pulled out of there. So it allowed Batman, he was a little bit younger deer and smaller body, but he was still pretty aggressive. He moved in there and kind of took over that area once we moved decoy buck out.
Yeah, so you guys you end up going first shotgun season. You see that deer. Dad kills him. Biggest deer of Dad's life. I think bigger than what he thought he was going to go. And then now we got another tag, and we got Junky left. So you're going into second shotgun season. You're up to bat. And I know how it goes, especially hunting with Mark and Terry. And there's a list of deer where it could be a management buck, it could be, and it's kind of whoever steps out is going to get it, right? So were you in your mind thinking, I mean, it's hard not to go in thinking you're going to have a chance at this deer, but 3 years later, it's also probably like, we're not going to see this deer. What's the mentality going in? Are you thinking, I'm going to shoot, whatever I get a chance at, or am I holding out?
I mean, I get excited. I mean, a 120 can walk out, and I get excited. If it's a mature deer, I'm obviously gonna take the shot, put my tag on it. But in my head, I was like, man, there is a chance I could kill the biggest deer of my life. Like literally, I was getting ready that morning, and I was like, I could kill the biggest deer of my life potentially today if Junky would happen to come out, because your dad had already been like, man, if he comes out, you're shooting him. So we went into a spot there. We had 3 different mature bucks that had been on camera throughout the season there. And Junky hadn't really been in that spot a whole lot. And then the 2 nights prior to shotgun season, we got pictures of him in the dark there. And your dad and I were talking, and we're like, man, last year he was on this soybean plot quite a distance from there. And we had the farmer left some standing beans in this spot this year. The prior year it was corn. And we're like, man, I wonder Junky kind of like prefers those beans over the corn because the corn this year was over in his core area. And we didn't get many pictures of him on it. So we went in there, and as luck would have it, he was the first mature buck to step out. It was pretty cool.
And what time did he step out? It wasn't first thing in the morning. It was, mid-morning, wasn't it?
No, I mean, going in that morning, it was 16 degrees. There was a really heavy frost. It was dead quiet. So our game plan going in is we were going to sit a long time because we figured let the sun get up, warm everything up, melt that frost off a little bit. We figured those deer would come get a bite to eat before going back to bed. And I can't remember exactly what time shooting light was, but we didn't see our first deer till about an hour and a half after shooting light. We had a couple little bucks come on, start eating beans, and a few does come out. And then I think it was 9:20 was when he stepped out. So it was pretty late in the morning, actually.
Does the gravity of this is my biggest deer, it's standing in front of me, is that going through your mind as you're putting the crosshairs on him, or what's happening there?
Oh, I mean, Terry spotted him first. We were sitting there, and I was kind of looking out over a big cut section of the bean field, and all of a sudden Terry's like, "Hey, there's a pretty good buck coming out." There had been a doe and fawn that had come out of that spot previous, and they kept looking back, but they were on the field for 20 minutes, and a deer never came out. But Terry and I were talking in the blind, like, man, there's got to be a buck down in there somewhere. And when he said, "Hey, there's a pretty good buck coming out," I threw my loop bolts up, and man, I was like, holy crap, it's Junky. Instantly, the heart rate just started going higher, higher, higher. My breathing I was having a hard time keeping it together, but Terry was breathing pretty heavy beside me too. But got the window open. Yeah, but got the window open, got the Traditions nitro fire out there. But unfortunately, he was facing us, and I would prefer to, like in a situation like that, I would like to happen really quick so I don't have time to stare at the deer or whatever. But man, he was on the field for 11 and a half minutes before I was able to shoot him before he turned broadside. So the whole time my heart rate just kept going higher and higher, and it was intense.
Was it still quiet and very little wind at that point, or did you guys have some breeze?
The wind had increased. It was like 5 or 6 mile an hour, so it was still pretty light. But I was breathing so heavy, I was fogging in the hunt. You can see I was taking my finger, and I had to clear the scope 3 or 4 different times because I was breathing so heavy it was fogging my scope up. And we had 4 does come out actually, and they were standing about 8 to 10 yards from the blind, staring at us and blowing while he was on the field. So Terry and I were sitting in the blind, and he's like, "Man, don't let him get out of there," because after 3 years, we didn't want to let him get away.
The encounter that you guys had last year with him, was that during bow, or that was gun too, wasn't it?
No, it was bow season. It was November 3rd.
And how close he came from behind you guys. I mean, I remember the footage at the time. I was like, holy crap, that deer's a giant. And he came in from behind you, right?
Yeah, we had put that blind there specifically. There's a real steep ditch right behind us, and we thought there's no way a deer's going to come out of there. And sure enough, the one deer we're hunting comes out of the ditch behind us. He got into 15, 16 yards and managed to get away.
Yeah, that footage, it has not seen the light of day yet. So I assume here with your upcoming Deer Season 22 episode, they'll go back through the history and showcase that encounter. But it was one of the prettiest encounters. And then the footage of this deer the day you killed him, I mean, that was beautiful footage because it's the sun, just the perfect time of day, and it's kind of glistening off of the rack in his back. And it's a pretty scene. And, the kill is just a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like you said, both encounters, I mean, both of them are broad daylight, sun shining on the deer. And I mean, he's big. I mean, really, really big, huge frame on him, real wide. Both of them are phenomenal encounters. So
when you guys lifted the window up in the blind, did the deer you had a couple does underneath you, or how'd that go?
They actually, we got pretty lucky. There was a doe and a fawn, and they were about 100 yards from the blind when we opened the window. So luckily he was the only deer directly on our soybean plot when we opened the window. Got the muzzleloader out, and those does actually walked in about 5 minutes into him being on the field. Like he was working his way up by himself, and they came from our right somewhere, and I just caught movement out of the corner of my eye, and I kind of peek over and glance down, and this doe standing there staring at me for 8 yards. She didn't like that muzzleloader barrel hanging out the blind window.
Yeah.
She better watch it.
Yeah. She's a spoiler.
They all are.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. And of course, a couple of those does, the wind was blowing directly to those does. We had a south wind, and the one doe, she started blowing, and she probably blew a dozen times. She blew 5 or 6 times, then she calmed down for a couple minutes, and Junky went back to feeding, because when she blew, man, his ears, I mean, snapped forward, and I mean, he was on high alert. And then she started blowing the second time, and that's when he picked up, I think, that we were in the blind, like he knew we were there. And he stared at us. I think it was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. He literally stood there and didn't move and stared directly at us in the blind. And Terry and I were absolute statues. I mean, we were on pins and needles.
A great example of how even if a deer blows, it doesn't mean that the hunt is completely over. Like, it can still happen.
Yeah, I mean, you need to, at that point, though, it gets real dicey. You got to be pretty still. You got to really watch your movements. I mean, for them to calm down enough to then move on or give you the chance where he calms down, that's pretty tough. I mean, that's an intense scenario.
Yeah, your margin of error is shrinking
Down to nothing
after that happens.
Yeah.
So how about the shot, the recovery? Talk about that.
Well, I mean, he knew something was kind of up, and he turned to leave, and had to stop him there and put the crosshairs on him. And I mean, I took my time aiming really, really hard. I was like, man, I do not want to mess this up. Squeeze the shot off. And initially, I didn't know whether I hit him or not. I felt really good about it, but his reaction was not that of really a double lung deer. He put his tail up and just kind of trotted off. And I actually turned around. Terry gives me crap for it all the time, and he actually screenshot the footage because he said he's going to make some memes out of it. But he's like, I turned around and I was like, did I hit him? And Terry's like, yeah, you hit him. You smoked him. And I was like, he didn't react like a double lung deer. But man, once we went back and reviewed the hit, we're like, man, he's dead, and saw the blood right away. I mean, there was blood squirting out of him. That bleed bullet did its job. And I mean, the celebration was on. I mean, we FaceTime Mark and Wade, FaceTime Matt there. I mean, it was, to kill this deer was pretty darn special.
Yeah.
For both of us, because we've been hunting him so hard. And climbed down, really good blood trail. I mean, he went maybe 100 yards downhill, and we walked up on him, and it was just like, holy crap. It was pretty surreal. Especially for me, being the largest deer in my life, but just to have that kind of moment with a deer that old. He's 7.5, and just to be that big, it was a really, really emotional moment.
Probably made that February post-hole digging a little more worth it.
He's like your Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, it was so much work and time and effort went into that deer. It was pretty special to finally get him on the ground.
The other bonus is that if you're worried about Terry creating memes,
that's not going to ever happen.
I don't think you got to worry about it. I think you're good.
He's going to make you create the meme about you.
Hey, Ben, tell me what a meme is, and then can you make memes out of this?
Our Chris Comstock calls them memes.
Ooh.
Gosh,
ironically or not ironically?
No, not ironically, I don't think.
Maybe a GIF or two? Who knows?
I know someone that calls them GIFs. They're GIFs.
I ran into some guy that called Wi-Fi Wi-Fi. He's like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi code for around here? I was like,
what's my Wi-Fi?
What? I was like, it's not wireless fidelity, it's Wi-Fi. He's like, well, the rest of the world calls it Wi-Fi.
Who is this person you're
some
hanging out with?
Globalist weirdo.
Sid Allen.
Our classic globalist over here. Open borders Allen.
So, I mean, after that, I know you guys both have a Missouri tag still. You have an Illinois archery tag still, but you guys have killed 4 gross boons. Like, what are you going to do the rest of the season? Are you even, I know right now what you're doing, we can get into that in a second, but like, there are no other giants left.
Where do you go from here?
Where do you go?
No, I mean, we're just running those reconnaissance cameras and kind of trying to find. We're just looking. I mean, in Missouri, we got a few mature deer. They're not absolute giants, but they're old. One deer. I mean, I'm sure people have heard us talk about him, Little Caesar. I mean, he's still running around. He's 9.5. We're trying to run into him. And then there's a couple other mature deer we're going to try to run into. But I mean, at this point, it's been the absolute season of a lifetime for Terry and me. And I mean, just all the deer we've killed, it's just been unbelievable. It'll never be topped. So at this point, we're on to domain.
So right now, you guys he had enrolled, or you guys had enrolled into the DMAP program. We've had an agent on talking about the DMAP program in a couple earlier episodes of the podcast. And it's something here in Missouri where, if you have really high deer densities, you can be allotted extra tags to help manage your herd, does specifically. And you guys got quite a few tags there, and you have 4 different people that are allowed to use these tags and have certain allotment each. And you're utilizing, you could have done it during it's any of the firearm seasons, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
So you guys have elected to use the antlerless season, which in Missouri is happening right now, to try to tackle the bulk of the management for this DMAP program.
Yeah. So it's, we applied just because a lot of our food plots were getting hammered really hard, and we've been seeing our doe numbers have been increasing really, really high. So we got enrolled in that, and we during the firearm season we were buck hunting the whole time, and so we didn't shoot any does then. So we're using the St. Louis season. Yapper came up and Ben came up, and the past few days we've really been bouncing around trying to hit our doe numbers, and we're struggling a little bit. The weather's been pretty crappy, but we're knocking them down.
So as you go into something like that, and I mean, is there a strategy as to which doe, are you taking just mature, the mama does, or are you, if there's a fawn there and it's not a button, are you killing those too? Or is it strictly trying to get the amount of numbers down, or are you trying to get the most mature does out of the herd?
If it's not a button buck and it's a slick head, it's getting shot.
So is there any theory around, because I know what some people will say is like, well, you just went through the rut. These deer the does just were bred. Mm-hmm. Are you hurting your future, buck population? But I think it's just more of an overall, you're trying to manage the numbers way down. I mean, they're too high to begin with. So it's just an overall mouth at the table problem, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We record all our deer sightings every hunt, but we worked with the biologist there at MDC and kind of came up with a rough guesstimate of what our buck to doe ratio was, and we thought it was like 4.5 to 1. We wanted to really knock it down, try to get it 2.5 to 1 or 3 to 1. So at this point, we're just trying to knock down those doe numbers and just take some mouse off the table more than anything. It isn't about a mature doe versus a little doe. Yeah. It's a doe is a doe, kind of is how we're looking at it.
And then part of that process is reporting. Is it after season or during season? Just what you ended up taking.
Yeah, so through the program, I have a kill log that every doe we shoot, I write down like who shot it, where they shot it. We have to weigh them all, and then we actually have to pull the front incisor teeth out of them, and we're going to send those in and they age them. But then we also estimate the age on that kill log as well.
Gotcha. DMAPing it.
So the meat you guys are donating, or are you processing some of them, or what's, that's also probably a question people ask. What happens to the deer? What happens to the meat?
So we got Yapper he deboned a couple of them and took them home with him the other day. And then I actually took a load this morning. We took a bunch over to a local processor for the Share the Harvest program. I think they started a new program this year where they make a lot of those into snack sticks and give them to kids.
Yep.
So do that. And then we keep a couple of them as well. I mean, I like to eat the meat, and we eat it here in camp, and Terry takes some and gets sausage and stuff made. So we definitely utilize every little ounce of meat we can get off of them.
Is Terry an Oberly dog guy?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Dad loves the Oberly dog.
He's a big fan of those.
It's hard to beat, Forrest. So
we're good, except the problem is he takes all the meat that I cut up and he gets them made, and then he doesn't bring them back up to the farm.
That is a problem. Yeah,
that is a problem. Yet again, you're doing the work and not realizing the benefit. Yeah. Well, overall, I mean, like I said, it's going to be tough to top this season, but it was well deserved. You've put your time in, as they say, and so to see you sitting behind a big mature buck like that, that's hopefully it's made it worth all the management bucks you've shot through the years, because that's part of the process. You guys are putting in the work, you're killing the does, and really before DMAP, I mean, you guys would take probably 20-30 does a year anyways, between archery, firearms, and guests coming up. I mean, you guys would take quite a few does a year to try to help manage those populations. But one thing I noticed or felt like and you would know a lot better than I because you're up there all the time or every day. When EHD hit a couple years ago, it seemed like that was the first instance, since Dad's owned the farm, where it's like, all right, a bunch of mouths were taken away, and the overall health of the herd kind of benefited from it in the years to come. The antler growth from the deer that were there, it seemed to have helped quite a bit. I mean, is that accurate to say, or do you feel the same way?
No, I agree 100% there. In 2019, we thought like 75 to 80% of the deer herd died up here. We found, I can't remember exactly, I found like 80 some dead in the spring when I was shed hunting does and bucks. But then, yeah, like you said, I mean, the following year, our food plots did phenomenal. I mean, it was like your dad said, it was the first year he ever had really good soybeans here, and our corn did really good. And our deer, I mean, their body weights were up because we weigh every deer we kill anyways, even prior to the DMAP program. But the body weights were up. Racks were definitely bigger. I mean, our antler growth has been really good the last few years. And Terry and I kind of think it's because that social stress is down. But I mean, that population rebounded really, really quick. And we backfilled a lot. I mean, having food, we suck a lot of deer in late, and a lot of them seem to stay, and that social stress is right back up where it was. And we think that was a big part of it. So trying to knock these does out is trying to help out with that social stress.
Yeah, I think that's probably the lesson to be learned in general from this episode. The way you guys are managing over there. And I know we're talking about also these deer in Illinois that you guys killed. You guys killed 3 giants over there, but the overall herd size there is not nearly what it is at the farm in Missouri. In fact, they've been hit with EHD so many years in a row. It's Mother Nature has kind of been managing that herd, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, EHD and then the coyotes over there too. We find a lot of coyote killed deer. We really hammered the coyotes 2 years ago. We killed quite a few of them over there, and it seemed to help a little bit. But then, I mean, they're right back up where they were. We're seeing them almost every sit over there. But the deer density is quite a bit lower over there.
Yeah. Are you able to use? I know you have a 243 and a 350 Legend that you got. The barrels are now fitted for these new Silencer Central suppressors. Are you able to use a suppressor rifle in Illinois for predator, or no? I don't know what the law is over there.
No, you're not allowed to use a suppressor over there.
Gotcha. I'm not surprised. I wasn't sure if you were able to or not.
They like the loud sounds.
I wish we were. It'd be nice, but
yeah,
unfortunately, no. So we'll have the thermal on there and get after them.
Well, cool. Now where do you go from here? I mean, geez, I've said it like 2-3 times, but the season they've had is I can't fathom.
We don't know what that would feel like or what you would do.
This is envy and jealousy in one podcast.
Hey,
envy and jealousy, meet Forrest and Terry.
A great deer. Good job. Forrest.
Well, it's tough because between Mark's crew, who they've had a fantastic year and always do, really.
Yeah.
And then these guys have had a fantastic year, and really the last 3 years, you guys have had awesome years. It's just, it's awesome to watch from the sidelines, but it does get to where it's like, man,
yeah,
it just makes me think like we suck really bad.
Everyone's got a bad year to throw. So right now,
how about 2 years? If it becomes more than 2, it's not the year, it's you.
Just start to wonder there.
That should be a t-shirt. If it becomes more than 2, it's not the year, it's you.
That.
There you go. It's a little long.
Yeah, well, we'll put it in the DOD gear store. I think there are a lot of guys that are going to buy it. I mean, we get a lot of feedback from guys that say, we're struggling too. We love to hear that we're not the only ones out there. So misery loves company. Yeah, for sure.
It could turn at any time, Tim.
It could.
By this time next week, we could both have kills.
There's a lot of season left.
Yeah, well, when you've hunted this much up to this point in the season, your wife likes to say there's not a lot of season left. Yeah. I mean, the reality is there really isn't a lot of season left, though, because once you get to the holidays, I mean, there's days, chunks at a time that you just go missing.
If you want to be a neglectful father, there's a lot of time left.
Yeah, no.
You don't want to.
If you want to stay married, that's not going to be.
Yeah.
So you don't want your kids to have daddy issues.
Dad, are you leaving again?
Well, it's my job, son.
Well, our real wild clip this week shows us that maybe we are doing this hunting thing incorrectly.
Well, I just got done saying that.
Yeah. This is more proof.
Obvious. Okay.
More proof.
All right. So the real wild clip. Let's see what you got.
It's a backyard, and it's suburbia, and there's
A buck. A nice buck.
a nice buck.
This is actually not that far from my house, believe it or not.
I
It
mean-
was sent by a friend of my wife's. Sent it to me, and it's like a Rack Pack page about Thanksgiving, and everybody's like, "Hey, there's the deer hunter. I see him in my backyard all the
Yeah,
time."
I hate that.
This friend of hers sends me big deer videos all the time.
He's walking past someone's wood pile. There's a chain link fence in the background. He's probably 4.
Oh yeah.
He's
It's
he's a really good deer.
yeah.
Someone's house
This
in the background.
the same day that she sent me this, my wife sent me a text and said, "We just saw a huge buck on our way over to the gas station. It's like right by McDonald's." I'm like, "What the heck?" And meanwhile, this is like during the rut, so that's why they're seeing them like that.
Yeah.
I'm in the woods seeing nothing. It's
We're
like-
doing it wrong. Yep. Should be hunting by the Quick Trip.
Yeah, that's right. So, real wild clip brought to you by my wife's friend. So,
Here, dear. The audio in that, which we didn't share just there, but she's saying something like, "Here, dear, come here." It wasn't impressed. Wasn't having it.
hey, there's the deer hunter.
Hey,
Did you get one yet? Did
they're
you catch
easy.
any?
I see them all the time. Got them in my backyard.
Yeah. There were some good responses out of that post in the Rock Pack.
Yeah, a lot of people could relate.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's next, Tim?
How
Question of
about
the day?
the question of the day?
All right. So the question of the day is probably presented by DeerCast Wind Check. Pick your stand location and access with confidence using the custom 5-day wind animations of WindCheck and DeerCast maps.
Hey guys, my name is George Kaufman. I am from Southwest Virginia. First things first, love the podcast. Love what y'all are doing for our hunting community. And my question of the day is, how will you be changing your hunting strategies from rut to late season? Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, George.
Well, I'm flailing.
Yeah.
That's-
Forrest, we're going to ask an expert here. What are you doing?
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I mean, we're shifting back to more afternoon hunting. I mean, typically those deer are going to be back to bed in the morning, focusing a lot on food. I mean, this time of year, there may be a few little bucks still bumping nose around, but a lot of those bigger mature deer, they're going to be back on that feed bag, especially if it gets really cold. So find your food sources, get on those.
So what if you're in an area, and I don't know George's scenario, but what if you're in an area where you don't have a late season food source, which Tim runs into this a lot. I mean, he's in suburbia or the bourbon property, you don't have food plots on it or anything like that. It's a cattle farm. So what strategies would you employ if you didn't have food to focus on?
I mean, deer have to eat. There's always going to be some food source. You just may have to scout a little bit harder. I mean, maybe crab apples or pods off of a locust tree. Find a tree that has, I mean, those deer are going to be going somewhere and eating. But I mean, I guess if you have to hunt a bedding area, those south facing slopes or real thick thermal cover, maybe getting those or right on the edge of those, find those trails coming out of those bedding areas and try to catch them where they're going to eat. If you don't have an actual food plot, catch them going between it maybe.
At this point in the year, would acorns be still a palatable? You know, I don't know. They've been on the ground a little while. Is that still something they're?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously not as many as there were earlier in the season, but I actually found a good white oak that had some pretty big acorns still on the ground around it. So I dropped a camera there just to see what's coming.
Does the palatability of the acorn change the longer it's off the limb, or
They can rot for sure. So you got to make sure that they're still in good shape. But
how do you do that?
you crack them open.
I thought you were going to try one.
I tried to eat acorn when I was a kid, and they have a lot of tannins in them, and they're bitter. So Native Americans used to soak them in like a creek, so running water over them, and that would leach the tannins out of them, and then they dry them, grind them up, and make flour. Then you could make like bread type products out of it.
What?
You can
The
make
hell's a
bread.
tannin?
It's a chemical. It's the chemical that is used to tan leather.
Tim, sometimes I wonder how you know all this shit.
I read the back of salt packets.
Is there a lot of tannin and salt?
There's zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to endure that, Forrest, but that was good information.
He's smiling. I think you
Yeah,
liked it.
That's an awkward smile.
That was an interesting fact.
Now,
Hey.
you know, That's what this is supposed to be about. We haven't even gotten to the wildlife word yet.
We change people's lives.
Just wait for that.
There's more coming. So it's brought to you by DeerCast Track. Get expert advice for your specific shot with DeerCast Track. That's if you shoot a deer.
I don't think so, Tim.
So this question is about the timing of their ability to breed. Bucks are actually ready and able to breed before does come into estrus.
And I'm a big boy.
They are. If a buck had his preference, how long could he breed for? Is it A, 3 months, B, 5 months, C, the whole dang year, or D, forever?
You're killing me, Smalls.
Same reference. Did you get that?
It was great. Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you.
These will all be Sandlot references from here on out.
Okay. All right, Forrest. We always let the guest go first. Bucks are actually ready and able to breed before does come into estrus. If a buck had his preference, how long could he breed for?
I would say all year, but
Well, that's a filthy answer. The fact that you even said that is disgusting.
Well, I feel like the whole year and forever would be the same answer.
yeah.
Think about that, Tim.
Hey, I am thinking about it.
Think about it.
Oh, yeah. I thought about
If
it.
you could breed the whole year and you just
Me?
keep breeding, well, I know what we think.
We can. Did you know that? We can.
I don't.
That's what she said.
That's a whole other podcast.
You were talking about bitters a while ago. All right. I'm going to go with 3 months. I have no idea.
Okay.
What's the answer, T-Bone?
Okay. Do you got it? So you said the whole year, right, Forrest?
Yeah.
Okay. The answer is 5 months. So pretty much once that velvet comes off, they ready to go.
So
60% of the
it's
time,
weird.
it works every time.
That didn't make any sense. It's weird because if you think about it, deer kind of go through adolescence. They go through puberty every year.
same.
What? That's not right, Matt.
Oh,
Is that why your voice changes?
yes.
Oh, they're dropping again. Well, yeah, 5 months.
$200.
5 months. But the does just are not ready. So that's why they fighting so much.
And there you
A
have
lot
it.
of pent up.
I bet you didn't know that. Well, now I actually know you didn't know that because you said the whole year, dummy.
Well, I think the way the question was worded, did it say how long do they want to breed or how long can they actually breed?
Yeah,
Both?
able to and want to are two different things. Let me tell you.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right. We're getting a window right now.
Yeah, YouTube's gonna give this they gave us a vulgar rating on one of my episodes
Oh,
of Deer
really?
Season 22.
Hey.
It was either because I used a curse word, but we bleeped it, or because we had that buck breeding the decoy. And I thought to myself, like, it can't be the cussing. There's no way, because we have cussed on this podcast. It never gets flagged.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be the buck breeding the doe got flagged for vulgar against their community guidelines.
That's not like we put Marvin Gaye underneath that.
We did that on
Clip.
social media. It was removed. We had to. Josh and I were talking about it yesterday, and so we did two things. He submitted a request to see why.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was like, just cut out the cussing real quick. It didn't add to anything, anyways. I was like, cut out the cussing and see if that does it. So I'll have to get with Josh and see what exactly was the reason they shut her down for us.
Nature.
If it was the nature side, like, that's pretty ridiculous. I mean, either or, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Bunch of prudes out there on
yeah.
social media, I guess. Our shout out this week. Our shout out this week has got to be one of the best screen names for an Apple user. So Willie and Waylon gave us 5 stars on Apple Podcast.
Nice. That is a good one.
Willie and Waylon and the boys. Willie and Waylon, they say, great show. Honestly, I just listened to see if I'll show up in the Rack Pack shout out. Just kidding. Great entertainment. I've listened to every episode while working and daydreaming of hunting. Just need some Borat clips on the soundboard, and it'd be a 6 out of 5 star show.
That's so nice.
My wife.
We can
6
do
out
that.
of 5 stars.
Alan, Borat clips. Stat.
We need to refresh the farts, and we need some more Borat.
I've kind of laid off the fart sounds. We could probably go down to 1. I have 4. Yeah, we could probably go down to 1.
You got
I have
4.
5.
You got 5 farts. Thought he had 4.
I've matured.
Well, yeah, you're getting more sophisticated.
Yes.
The real question is, which one fart would you save?
Well, based on the descriptions, you have them labeled as hard fart, fart, oil slick fart, trumpet butt fart, and I got diarrhea. Oh, that's not.
I got diarrhea.
That's not a fart sound. That's Joe. That's Joe Extra.
Trumpet butt makes me giggle.
So hold on. That's that one.
For the next Real Wild clip next week, well, maybe not. We got Mark in. I was going to say, like,
let's clear the way for fart sounds.
Yeah, I posted a video on the Rack Pack of me farting at a spike buck, and it really made me laugh.
Hey, that's all that matters.
I agree.
I don't think so, Tim.
All right. Well, we have other people that matter to us. We have new Rack Pack members.
All right. So the Rack Pack members, every week, Tim gives me a list of names. Every week I read them. Every week I mess them up. And every week there's a fake one in here. The Rack Pack is over on Facebook. It's the official 100% Wild Podcast fan page, I guess.
That's right.
That's
it's
right.
very private.
So just in the search tool function, just click Rack Pack, 100% Wild Rack Pack. It'll come up. All right. We got Ben Steffes, Nahum G2.
Hey, sounds
Nahum
like
G2. Namum G2. Namum G2. I know that's a fake name, but
it looks like Name 'em to me.
dang it. Name 'em G2. Yeah. Is he the short Name 'em G2 or the long G2 or the split G2?
It just depends how
This could
creative.
go a
his
lot of
mom
different
was.
ways. We got Matt Wayland, Casey Garrett, Wade Hostetler. That sounds like a good Western name. John Davidson, John Montz, Brad Olson, Ryan Forrest. We have a Forrest. Jeremy Manis. I like Casey Garrett. Kind of sounds like he was in a movie with Kevin Costner.
He was Waterworld.
Oh,
Yep.
I was thinking like a
Nice job,
Tombstone
Casey.
related.
And Tombstone.
Garrett. We got Hostetler, Garrett. They could be in a gang.
The Hostetlers.
The
The Hustlin' Hostetlers.
Hostetler Garrett gang.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a rough.
Robin Trains and I won't say what else they were up to. It was no good. I'll tell you that.
Leaving their switchblades in a rain barrel to get them rusty and then bang them on a curb.
That's what she said.
That was our president.
What? Trump said that?
No,
Oh.
no, the current one.
Biden said that?
Yeah.
Seems like something Trump
Yeah,
could have said.
when he got into a scuffle with Corn Pop.
Oh, that's
at the
right.
pool.
That's right. After he let those kids touch his hairy legs.
What is he talking about? It's Corn Pop. He ran a bunch of bad dudes.
I think I'm gonna throw up.
Got him.
Oh, you can't make this stuff up, unfortunately. All right. Well, Forrest, congrats on an awesome season, man.
We're real
You've earned
happy
it.
for you.
Thank you. It's been pretty special.
He's like, you guys invited me on the show.
Oh, wait, I am happy for you because I know how tough it is to be up in that scenario up there year round. You're really in the mix up there. It's a hard earned 185.
You don't have to confirm or deny anything that just said.
Shake your head if he's watching you right now.
He's in the room. I could just
Blink twice.
imagine Terry whispering under his breath in the blind. There's your Christmas bonus.
No, now that is one thing. Those boys are generous in the bonus department, so we good there.
Oh yeah,
We're good there.
you got yours in antlers this year.
Not me.
No.
Well, I guess technically I did at Mark, so
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, we can't discount that.
What are you doing with that? skull?
I have it. So we skull capped it, and to be able to take it back into Missouri.
It's a gang term for those that aren't familiar. Skull capping.
Yeah, And I took it to the guy that does all my Euro mounts, and he got it cleaned up. I mean, there wasn't much to clean up, but he got it all cleaned up, and then he's got it right now. He said he's trying to think of something cool to do with it.
Yeah.
So, because usually I would have done a Euro mount. I really like doing Euro mounts, but because of the way we cut the horns off of it after we tagged it, you can't Euro mount. Well, I guess you can't. Oh no, you couldn't, could you?
No.
Take some other Euro and glue them on.
Well, if you're looking for ideas, there's a Greek guy I know, Mikos, that has a place called Euro Mounts.
Is it
you
Euro?
You
or
can
Euro?
get Euros while you wait for him
Euros?
to.
You're saying it wrong. It's a Euro.
Yeah. Euro.
It's spelled differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a G in it.
Yeah, but you're calling it a Euro.
Oh, sorry.
Sound like my mother-in-law.
Oh, do
Yeah,
I?
let's get some Euros.
She's got a deep voice.
No, actually, let's get some gyros.
Ugh.
Gyros? Still wrong.
There's a Euro place where I think it's run by, they're Iranians or Pakistanians.
They could eat Euros.
They can. It's just,
You think of
it's
Greeks.
more of a Greek food.
You have an Italian making it or a Mexican guy.
Are you
Want a
allowed to do
fajita? You want a Euro? Actually, just about not just about. At a lot of Mexican restaurants, you could probably get a Euro. Like it's like, hey, you want chicken nuggets? You want a
it's
cheeseburger?
weird.
You want?
Yeah.
We were on a Zoom call the other day with a lady we work with through DeerCast, and she's like, man, me and my daughter, we ate the seafood at the Mexican restaurant, and we got food poisoning. I'm thinking,
Surprise. And
had
it was
the wrong
on
item.
clearance. Yeah. And if the seafood's on clearance, don't ever order it. It's on clearance for a reason, folks.
So,
Right, Forrest? Forrest is wondering why he's here.
why he's still on? It's like you got something to do, or what? Kill a couple does.
No, I'm actually we're cleaning a couple does right now. Actually, I got out of it for a little while.
Hey.
So see, just stay on with
Yeah.
us. Is that
Well-
what Ben and Terry are up to?
No, Terry left actually today.
Where's
went
he
home.
at?
He's going home to finish up some. I don't know. He said he wanted to see Willa, and
Christmas shopping, probably.
This is fake news.
I don't know. So it's me and Ben are holding the fort down up here.
Oh boy.
Oh, no. All right. Well, I did spill the beans a little bit. I think we may have Mark on for our next episode.
That's still TBD. I mean, he's supposedly coming into St. Louis to, I think he's going to visit one of his sisters. And then he's picking up grandma and taking her back to Iowa for, I don't know if, I don't think she has a tag. So I don't think she's hunting unless she's going to Missouri to hunt with him. I really don't know, or else she's just going to camp. I have no idea. But as he's coming through St. Louis area, we're trying to get him to swing by the studio for a podcast. Like to hear about, there was a tear there. Well, all year they're on a tear, but there was a period there where like 24-hour period, they killed 3 bucks in 3 states.
It's crazy. And then Perry just killed a buck out of a cattle shack.
Yeah. So with a glory hole.
I may be absent on this episode.
And we'll hear more about that tomorrow.
Can't wait. Make sure you tune in next week, folks.
All right.
Thanks, Forrest.
Forrest, congrats, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
It's fun.
Also, don't forget to go in and register for the 12 giveaways of Christmas. Register every day. Every morning we wipe the slate clean, and we got some really cool prizes culminating in a Matthews HHA victory package on day 12.
That's happening right now in DeerCast. Every day in the news feed, you can go and see the latest daily prize giveaway. Every day we wipe the slate clean of names, and you got to re-register for the next day's prize. So
Thank you for saying that.
this airs tomorrow, Wednesday, the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
We would have had 3 giveaways. No, that'll be the 3rd day of giveaways, I think.
Yeah.
So still plenty of time. And really the big, I mean, if you're under a rock here, the big giveaway, the real big giveaway is under the giveaway tab. That's a hunt with Mark and Terry. That's for next year, a deer hunt. That's a chance to win a Tracker off-road 800 side-by-side. And it's a chance to win a Hawk office blind, a big box blind with a 5-foot platform. So those prizes alone, that's, probably $20,000, $30,000 worth of prizes right there.
It's incalculable.
Invaluable too.
How do I enter a contest?
Is that on here?
Yeah, somewhere.
Where?
Maybe on the drum page.
Okay. Drums. Nope. Sequence. Nope.
Maybe. I don't know.
Drums? Nope. Song? Nope. Sorry,
I'm not
Tim, you're a
checked
liar.
out on the soundboard. Oh, I love lying,
I know.
especially the inconsequential ones.
Every day, white lies. Every day. It gets so old. It's like I did that work, and then it's like, come to find out you didn't, or it's like I have an appointment to go to. And it
Appointments. The dermatologist one's a big one.
Turns out you're just here in your office.
And I'm like taking notes. Oh yeah, tell me more about things we
The
need
kids
to do.
are sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even have kids.
I know.
It's just something I do to get for people to think I'm cool.
Well,
It's working.
Find something else.
It's working real good.
All right. That's about it for today, guys.
Working
I think
good.
I've had enough.
Mm-hmm. All right. Smell you later, Forrest.
All right. See ya.
Merry Christmas.
He does look like a victim of, like he's held hostage there.
Victim of your dad.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, we hope you all have some late season success. We hope we do too.
We do.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Until next time. Peace out.
DeerCast is now supercharged with maps. Get ahead of your game with killer new features like live Doppler radar, wind check out to 5 days, virtual rain gauges, GPS path tracking, and more. Plus, get our 14-day revolutionary DeerCast prediction and access to DeerCast Track. Prep, predict, and pursue with DeerCast.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Leupold.